The old salvage ship Star Chaser drifted silently through the darkness of the Kuiper Belt. Its sensors swept the endless void, searching for anything worth collecting. Captain James Walker stood at the bridge window, his weathered hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. 20 years of salvage work had taught him that patience was everything in this business. A soft beep from the sensor station broke the silence. "Captain, we got something big on long-range scan," called out Mike from his station. "It's not showing up in any of our databases." Walker walked over to look at the readout. His interest sparked. Unknown objects usually meant either danger or profit, and sometimes both. "How big are we talking about?" "About 3 times our size, sir. And well, it's just sitting there." The captain smiled. Derelict ships were exactly what they were looking for. "Take us in closer, but keep the shields up. No point in being careless." As they approached, the object grew larger on their view screen. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The ship, if it could be called that, looked like a massive coral formation made of metal. Its surface was covered in what appeared to be rust, but the patterns it formed were too regular, too purposeful to be simple corrosion. "That's not human-made," said Lisa, their engineering specialist, stating the obvious. "And it's not from any of the known alien civilizations either. The design is completely foreign." Walker felt a familiar tingle of excitement run down his spine. "Any signs of life or active systems?" "None that I can detect," Mike replied. "But there's something odd about the energy readings. They're very faint, but they don't match any known power source." The captain made his decision. "Suit up, everyone. We're going to take a closer look." An hour later, Walker led his 4-person team through the airlock. Their magnetic boots clanked against the hull of the mysterious vessel as they made their first steps. Up close, the rust covering the ship's surface seemed to shimmer slightly, as if it was moving in patterns too subtle for human eyes to fully track. "This is incredible," Tom Reed, their technical expert, muttered as he ran his scanner over the hull. "The metal composition. I've never seen anything like it. And look at how the surface reacts when I do this." He pressed his gloved hand against the hull, and the rusty patterns seemed to ripple outward from the point of contact. "Is it safe?" Walker asked, watching the strange reaction with concern. "As far as I can tell, yes. It's not corrosive or radioactive. It's almost like it's responding to us." They found what appeared to be an entrance, a hexagonal doorway that was partially open. The team carefully made their way inside, their helmet lights illuminating corridors that might have been undisturbed for millions of years. The interior was just as strange as the exterior. The walls had the same rusty appearance, but here they could see that it formed intricate patterns, almost like circuit boards or writing. Their boots left footprints in the fine dust that covered the floor, but underneath they could see that the deck was made of the same mysterious material. "Captain," Lisa called out, "these readings suggest the ship still has power. It's minimal, but it's there. Something in here is still running after all this time." Walker felt a mix of excitement and unease. A powered ship this old should be impossible. "Can you trace the source?" "I think so. It's coming from what might be the bridge or control center, about 50 meters ahead." They moved carefully through the ship, documenting everything with their suit cameras. The corridors seemed to bend and twist in ways that didn't make sense, as if the ship's interior geometry didn't quite match what they had seen from outside. The bridge, when they found it, was both alien and somehow familiar. There were stations that could have been control panels, though they were covered in the same rusty material as everything else. In the center of the room stood what looked like a pilot's chair, but it was sized for something much larger than a human. Tom immediately went to work with his equipment. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. The rust. It's not rust at all. It's some kind of, well, the best way I can describe it is living metal. It's a form of technology so advanced it might as well be magic to us." Living metal. Walker moved closer to examine what Tom was looking at. "Explain." It's like a combination of nanobots and organic material. It can repair itself, adapt to damage, maybe even evolve. And it's still active, just sleeping, I guess you could say. Lisa joined them, her scanner displaying complex readings. He's right. And there's more. The whole ship seems to be made of this stuff. It's not just a coating. It goes all the way through. This ship isn't just a ship. It's practically a living organism. Walker considered their discovery. A ship that could repair itself, that might even be able to adapt and evolve. It could be worth a fortune to the right buyer. But something told him this find was too important to simply sell to the highest bidder. "What do you think it was used for?" he asked, running his hand along one of the control panels. The surface seemed to warm slightly at his touch. "Based on the layout and what we can see of its systems, I'd say it was an exploration vessel," Tom replied. "But the technology, whoever built this was far beyond anything we've ever encountered. The known alien races would kill to have something like this." "Then maybe we should be careful who we tell about it," Walker said thoughtfully. "Mike, send a message to Earth's Defense Command. Mark it low priority. We don't want to attract too much attention yet. Tell them we found an unusual derelict that might be worth examining, but don't mention anything about the living metal or active systems." "You think we should keep this quiet?" Lisa asked. Walker nodded. "For now. Something tells me we've stumbled onto something big here. If the wrong people find out about this ship's true nature too soon." He let the thought hang unfinished. The team spent several more hours documenting and examining the ship. They found no signs of what had happened to its original crew, no bodies or personal effects. It was as if the ship had simply been abandoned, left to drift through space until someone found it. As they prepared to return to their own vessel, Walker took one last look around the alien bridge. The rusty pattern seemed to pulse faintly in his helmet light, as if acknowledging his presence. He had a strong feeling that this discovery would change everything, not just for his crew, but possibly for all of humanity. "Let's head back," he announced. "Tom, start analyzing that data. I want to know everything about this living metal. Something tells me we're going to need to understand it very well, very soon." As they made their way back to their airlock, none of them noticed that their footprints in the dust were slowly fading away, the living metal absorbing and analyzing the traces they had left behind. The ancient ship wasn't just sleeping. It was learning, preparing for whatever its new discoverers might have in store for it. 2 weeks had passed since the discovery of the mysterious ship, and Tom Reed hadn't slept properly since. His lab aboard the Star Chaser was cluttered with samples and testing equipment, all focused on understanding the strange living metal they'd found. Empty coffee cups littered his workstation, testament to the long hours he'd spent studying the material. "You need to see this, Captain," Tom called out over the ship's comm system. His voice carried the excitement of someone who had just solved a difficult puzzle. Within minutes, Walker arrived at the lab, followed closely by Lisa. "What have you found?" Walker asked, noting the wild look in his engineer's eyes. Tom held up what looked like an ordinary piece of steel plating. "Watch this," he said, placing it next to a small sample of the alien ship's hull material. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the rusty-colored substance began to creep across the steel like spreading frost on a window. "Is it infecting the steel?" Lisa asked, leaning in for a closer look. "That's exactly what it's doing," Tom replied with a grin. "But here's the really interesting part." He picked up a hammer and struck the infected portion of the steel. Instead of denting, the metal flexed and then returned to its original shape. The nanites in the living metal are reproducing and converting our regular steel into something similar to the alien ship's hull. Walker watched as the transformation continued to spread. "Can we control it?" "That's the best part," Tom said, reaching for another sample. "Look at this piece." He held up a section of metal that had been completely converted. "I discovered that the nanites respond to electrical impulses. We can actually program them." They're like tiny computers that can rebuild themselves and change the properties of any metal they come in contact with. Lisa pulled out her tablet and started reviewing the test data. This is incredible. The possibilities for this technology. We could revolutionize spacecraft construction. Imagine hull plating that repairs itself, or structural components that can adapt to stress. Earth Defense Command just sent a response to our initial report, Walker said, his expression thoughtful. They're sending someone out to take a look, but they're not in any hurry. They think it's just another dead alien ship. Their lack of interest might be a good thing, Tom suggested. It gives us more time to understand what we're dealing with. I've barely scratched the surface of what this technology can do. Just then, Mike's voice came over the intercom. Captain, we've got an incoming ship. It's Dr. Anna Miller from the Defense Science Division. Walker raised an eyebrow. I thought they weren't interested. Apparently someone there is, Lisa said. I've heard of Dr. Miller. She's brilliant, known for thinking outside the box. Maybe she saw something in our report that others missed. They gathered in the docking bay to meet their visitor. Dr. Miller turned out to be a tall woman with sharp eyes and an air of contained energy about her. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. Show me everything, she said as soon as she stepped aboard. Your report mentioned unusual metal properties. I want to see them for myself. Tom led the way to his lab, explaining his discoveries as they walked. Dr. Miller listened intently, asking precise, technical questions that showed she grasped the implications immediately. You've discovered something extraordinary, she said after seeing Tom's demonstrations. This isn't just a new material, it's a new paradigm for technology. Have you tried introducing it to different types of metals? Several, Tom confirmed. It works better with some than others. Steel and titanium alloys seem to be the most receptive. Dr. Miller ran her fingers along the transformed metal sample. The military applications alone. But we need to be careful. If this technology works the way I think it does, it could change the balance of power in the galaxy. That's why we've kept the details quiet, Walker explained. Our official reports have been understated. Smart, Miller nodded. We need to continue development in secret. The moment other species learn what you've found, they'll try to take it. I've seen enough of their technology to know that none of them have anything like this. Over the next several days, Dr. Miller worked closely with Tom and Lisa, bringing her own expertise to bear on understanding the living metal. They discovered that not only could they program the nanites, but they could also influence their basic properties. Look at this, Miller said one evening, showing them a piece of transformed metal. We've managed to create a variant that responds to specific frequencies. It could form the basis for a new type of armor, one that becomes stronger when hit by enemy weapons. Tom had made another breakthrough as well. The nanites can transmit information between converted pieces of metal. They're networked. If we could scale this up, we could create entire ships that think and act as one organism. Lisa finished his thought. The applications go way beyond just weapons and armor. Walker, watching their progress, made a decision. Dr. Miller, how would you feel about running an unofficial project? Something off the books, at least for now. Miller smiled. I was hoping you'd suggest that. I've already started making arrangements. I know a facility where we can work without drawing attention. The official records will show we're conducting routine materials research. Won't Earth Defense Command want to know what we're doing? Lisa asked. They're currently focused on more obvious threats, Miller explained. Sometimes the best way to develop something revolutionary is to do it quietly, while everyone else is looking the other way. They spent the next few days transferring essential equipment and samples to Miller's facility. The alien ship itself they left in a remote orbit, tagged with a simple quarantine beacon that would keep others away without drawing attention. As they set up their new lab, Tom made another discovery. The nanites, they're learning from us, he announced one morning. Each generation adapts not just to our programming, but to how we use them. It's like they're trying to understand us. Miller found this particularly interesting. Could we use that? Create nanites specifically attuned to human neural patterns. Maybe, Tom said, but we'd need to be careful. We don't want to create something we can't control. Walker watched his team work, feeling both pride and concern. They were pushing the boundaries of known science, working with technology that was barely understood. But looking at the transformed metal samples, seeing how they responded to human touch and direction, he couldn't help but feel they were on the right track. Keep working, he told his team. But remember, if anyone asks, we're just studying an old, rusty ship. Nothing special about it at all. As if in response to his words, the nearest sample of living metal rippled slightly, its surface shifting in patterns that seemed almost like writing. The alien ship had been waiting for millions of years, and now finally, it had found beings who could understand and use its gifts. The universe would never be the same. The secret facility hummed with activity as Dr. Miller stood before a large observation window. On the other side, a piece of living metal the size of a car door floated in a testing chamber. Tom sat at a control panel nearby, his fingers dancing across the controls. "Ready for Neural Interface Test 7, Tom announced. He looked tired but excited. 3 months of work had led to this moment. "Lisa, are the sensors ready?" Lisa checked her readings. "All set. The metal sample is stable, and the neural patterns are aligned." Dr. Miller stepped forward, placing her hand on a sensor pad. The metal in the chamber began to shift and move, its surface rippling like water. Slowly, it started to form shapes. First simple geometric patterns, then more complex structures. "It's working," Tom whispered. "The metal is responding directly to your thoughts." Walker watched from the doorway, impressed by how far they'd come. In the months since discovering the alien ship, they'd learned that it wasn't just a vessel, it was a research platform, designed to explore and understand other forms of life. The original builders, Miller explained, her hand still on the sensor pad, they weren't looking to make weapons. They were scientists, explorers. The living metal was their way of adapting to whatever they might find out there. The metal in the chamber had formed itself into a perfect sphere, then shifted into a pyramid, responding to Miller's mental commands. But more importantly, it was learning, adapting to human thought patterns in ways they hadn't expected. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to her readings. "The neural interface is getting stronger. The metal isn't just responding to commands. It's anticipating them. It's like it wants to help us." Tom pulled up another set of data on his screen. "We've decoded more of the ship's database. The original species, they disappeared millions of years ago. But they left this technology behind, hoping someone would find it and understand it. And naturally," Walker added with a smile, "humanity decided to see if we could use it to protect ourselves." Their first major breakthrough had come when they discovered how to combine the living metal with conventional human weapons. The nanites could be programmed to enhance regular ammunition, creating bullets that could repair friendly ships they passed through while maintaining their destructive power against enemy vessels. "The targeting systems are revolutionary," Lisa explained, pulling up a demonstration on the main screen. "The living metal can distinguish friend from foe based on neural patterns. We don't even need IFF systems anymore." Miller nodded. "And the best part is, no one sees it coming. To everyone else, we're just recycling old technology, playing with an ancient derelict. Even our own military leadership doesn't fully understand what we've developed here." The team had grown cautious about sharing their discoveries. The few officials who knew the truth had agreed to keep the project quiet. Earth had too many potential enemies to risk the technology falling into the wrong hands. Walker walked over to another testing chamber where they kept their latest prototype, a small fighter craft covered in living metal. "How's the integration coming along?" "Better than we expected," Tom replied. "The metal bonds perfectly with our existing technology. It's like it was designed to be compatible with whatever species found it. We can maintain all our standard systems while adding self-repair capabilities and adaptive armor." Lisa pulled up another set of readings. "The really interesting part is how it handles energy weapons. When hit by a laser or plasma blast, the metal doesn't just resist the damage. It learns from it. Each hit makes it stronger against that specific type of weapon. And we've barely scratched the surface, Miller added. The ship's database suggests the metal can do things we haven't even tried yet. The original species was using it for peaceful exploration, but they understood its potential for defense. Their work was interrupted by an urgent message from Earth Defense Command. Walker read it, and his expression turned serious. "We've got company coming." A deep space survey team detected an unknown fleet approaching the outer solar system. They're not responding to hails. Miller quickly pulled up the sensor data. Multiple ships, heavily armed, based on their energy signatures. They're not from any species we've encountered before. "How long do we have?" Tom asked, already moving to secure their research data. 2 weeks, maybe less, Walker replied. They're moving fast, and their course is aimed directly at Earth. Miller made a quick decision. "It's time to speed up our testing schedule. Tom, prep the prototype fighter for full integration trials. Lisa, start uploading our weapons modifications to the Defense Fleet's secure network. We need to be ready." "What about the original ship?" Lisa asked. "It's still out there in its quarantine orbit." Walker smiled. "I think it's time we brought it in. After all, who better to face an unknown threat than a ship designed to adapt to anything it encounters?" The next few days were a blur of activity. The team worked around the clock, preparing their technology for what might be coming. They had kept their work secret to protect it, but now that secrecy might give them an advantage. Their potential enemies would be expecting to face standard human technology, not living metal that could think and adapt. "Look at this," Tom called out one evening, pointing to his screen. "I've been analyzing the approaching fleet's scan patterns. They're methodical, thorough. They're looking for something specific." Miller leaned in to study the data. "You think they're looking for the ship? After all this time?" "Maybe," Walker said. "Or maybe they're looking for any sign of the original builder's technology. Either way, they're in for a surprise. They'll be expecting to find an ancient derelict, not what we've turned it into." Lisa had been quiet, studying her own readings. "The living metal. It's excited. I know that sounds strange, but ever since we detected the approaching fleet, the neural patterns have become more active, more focused. It's like it knows it's about to be needed again." "Then let's not disappoint it," Miller said. "We've got less than 2 weeks to prepare for first contact, and I want humanity to make one hell of an impression." Walker looked through the observation window at their prototype fighter. Its surface rippled with patterns of living metal, looking both beautiful and deadly. They had found an ancient exploration vessel and turned it into something new, a perfect blend of human ingenuity and alien technology. Whatever was coming, they would be ready. The living metal seemed to pulse in agreement, its patterns shifting faster now, as if eager to show what it could do in human hands. The universe was about to learn that discovering something and understanding how to use it were two very different things, and humans had always been very, very good at the latter. The alien fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system exactly as predicted. Their ships were massive, sleek vessels that gleamed like polished obsidian in the dim sunlight. Earth's long-range sensors counted 37 ships in total, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built. In the command center, Walker stood with Dr. Miller and his team, watching the main display as the enemy fleet approached. Earth's defense forces had been mobilized, but there was an air of resignation among the military commanders. They knew their regular ships were outmatched. "They're broadcasting," Mike announced from his communication station. The message began playing throughout the command center, translated by their computers. "Primitive human species," a deep voice boomed. "We are the Dominion. We have detected technology that does not belong to you. Surrender it and submit to our rule, or we will take it by force." One of the admirals snorted. "They're after that rusty old ship you found, Walker. All this for some ancient piece of junk." Walker exchanged knowing looks with his team. They had spent the last 2 weeks preparing for this moment, but only a handful of people knew what they had really done with the alien technology. "Sir," Walker addressed the Admiral, "request permission to lead the first response in Old Rust." The Admiral laughed. "You want to take that derelict into battle? It's your funeral, Captain." "Granted." As Walker and his crew headed for their ship, Dr. Miller's voice came through their private comm channel. "The neural interface is fully operational. The living metal has been integrated with all systems. Show them what humanity can do with a piece of junk." Old Rust, as they still called it, didn't look very impressive from the outside. Its hull still had that corroded, ancient appearance that had given it its nickname. But underneath that facade, every inch of the ship was alive with programmed nanites and integrated human technology. The Dominion fleet approached Mars orbit, their lead ship broadcasting another message. "Your silence is taken as refusal. We will now demonstrate our power." The largest alien vessel fired a massive energy beam at one of Earth's orbital defense platforms. The blast completely vaporized the platform, leaving nothing but floating debris. "That's our cue," Walker said to his crew. "Tom, power up all systems. Lisa, begin recording combat data for the nanites to analyze. Mike, battle stations." Old Rust moved out from its hiding place behind Phobos, Mars' smaller moon. The Dominion ships immediately detected them. "Ah, there it is." The alien commander's voice held amusement. "The ancient vessel we detected. How foolish of you to bring it to us. Your primitive attempts to understand its technology are insulting." Walker smiled. "Tom, show them what primitive humans can do." Old Rust's first shot looked like a standard railgun round, until it hit the nearest Dominion ship. On impact, the living metal ammunition spread across the enemy vessel's hull like a splash of water. Within seconds, the nanites began interfering with their systems. What is this?" The alien commander's voice lost its arrogance. "Their weapons are corrupting our hull integrity." The battle that followed was unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The Dominion ships were powerful, but Old Rust was constantly adapting. Every hit it took made it stronger, its living metal analyzing and countering each weapon used against it. "Their energy weapons are becoming less effective," Lisa reported excitedly. "The hull is learning to absorb and redirect the energy, and our nanite rounds are successfully disabling their ship's systems." The Dominion fleet started to break formation, clearly unsettled by facing technology they thought they understood being used in ways they'd never imagined. 3 of their smaller ships had already gone dark, their systems overwhelmed by the living metal infection. "Impossible," the alien commander raged. "This is not how this technology functions. What have you done to it?" "We improved it," Walker replied calmly. "Turns out humans are good at thinking outside the box." The battle intensified as the Dominion realized they were facing a serious threat. They concentrated their fire on Old Rust, hitting it with everything they had. But with each attack, the ship's hull grew stronger, its defenses more sophisticated. "They're trying to hack our systems," Mike reported. Tom laughed. "Good luck with that. The living metal is actively rewriting its own code faster than they can break it. It's learning from their attempts." The tide of battle turned when Old Rust demonstrated its most devastating capability. The nanites they'd seeded into the disabled enemy ships began spreading, converting the alien vessels' hulls into more living metal that responded to human neural patterns. "Sir," Lisa called out, "we're getting readings from the infected ships. The living metal has reached their core systems. We have control." Walker opened a channel to Earth Command. "This is Captain Walker. Request permission to deploy the modified nanite warheads to the defense fleet. We can upgrade our ships during combat." There was a moment of stunned silence before the Admiral responded. "Granted, Walker. And good work. I guess we were wrong about that rusty ship of yours." As Earth's defense fleet moved in, Old Rust began sharing its technology. Specially designed missiles carried packets of programmed nanites, spreading living metal across the hulls of human ships. The Dominion could only watch in horror as their supposedly inferior opponents transformed before their eyes. "This is your final warning," Walker broadcast to the alien fleet. "Withdraw now, or face the consequences. We've only begun to show you what we can do with this technology." The Dominion's response was immediate. Their remaining ships began to retreat, breaking orbit so quickly they almost collided with each other. The mighty alien fleet, which had arrived expecting an easy conquest, was running from what they had dismissed as primitive humans playing with ancient technology. As the enemy fled, celebrations broke out across Earth's defense network. But in Old Rust's command center, Walker and his crew remained focused. "They'll be back," Miller's voice came through their private channel. "And they'll bring friends. But now they know we're not the easy target they thought we were." Tom checked his readings of the ship's systems. "The living metal has evolved more in this one battle than in all our tests combined. It's like it needed a real challenge to show its true potential. And we've barely scratched the surface," Lisa added. "Every piece of data we gathered today will help us develop new applications, new ways to use this technology." Walker looked out at the retreating enemy fleet, then at the Earth ships now bearing traces of living metal across their hulls. They had done more than win a battle. They had changed the rules of warfare itself. Humanity had taken an abandoned piece of ancient technology and turned it into something new, something uniquely their own. "Well," he said to his crew, "I guess we should thank them. Nothing tests a weapon system quite like actual combat." The living metal of Old Rust's hull pulsed in agreement, its patterns shifting like waves as it continued to process and adapt to everything it had learned in the battle. The rusty old ship wasn't just a weapon anymore. It was becoming something entirely new, a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien technology that would change the galaxy forever. 3 months after the Dominion's retreat, Earth had changed dramatically. The sight of ships with patches of living metal had become common in orbit, and humanity's confidence had grown with their newfound strength. But Captain Walker and his crew knew the real challenges were just beginning. "They're coming back," Miller announced during their morning briefing. "Long-range sensors have detected multiple fleets approaching from different directions. The Dominion has called in their allies." Walker studied the tactical display showing hundreds of ships heading toward Earth. "How long do we have?" 5 days at most," Tom replied. "But we're ready for them. The living metal has evolved far beyond what we had during the first battle." He wasn't exaggerating. Old Rust had become something extraordinary. Its entire hull now rippled with constant motion, the living metal having fully integrated with every system. More importantly, they had discovered how to network it with other ships, creating a linked defense system that could learn and adapt as one. "Show them the new capabilities," Miller said to Lisa, who pulled up footage from their latest tests. On the screen, a test drone fired a powerful energy beam at a small fighter equipped with living metal. Instead of trying to block the blast, the fighter's hull absorbed it completely. Moments later, it redirected the energy back at the drone, using its attacker's own weapon against it. "The living metal doesn't just adapt to attacks anymore," Lisa explained. "It understands them, learns how to replicate them. Every weapon used against us becomes our weapon too." Walker smiled. "The Dominion thinks they're coming back with overwhelming force. They don't realize they're just giving us more technology to work with." The next few days were spent preparing Earth's defenses. Every ship in the fleet now carried at least some living metal components, all connected through the neural network they had developed. The original alien ship's database had proved to be a goldmine of information, teaching them new ways to use the technology every day. When the enemy fleets arrived, they came with a show of force meant to intimidate. Ships of various designs filled the sky, representing at least 6 different alien species who had joined the Dominion's cause. "Last chance, humans," the Dominion commander broadcast. "Surrender the technology you have stolen and submit to our rule. We are willing to be merciful." Walker sat in Old Rust's command chair, feeling the living metal respond to his thoughts. The ship wasn't just a tool anymore. It had become an extension of its crew, as alive as any of them. "This is Captain Walker of the Earth Defense Force," he replied. "We didn't steal anything. We found abandoned technology and improved it. If you want to see what we've done with it, just try to take it from us." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The alien fleet attacked with everything they had, using weapons Earth had never seen before. But with each new attack, the living metal evolved, adapted, and grew stronger. "They're using some kind of quantum disruptor," Tom called out as strange energy waves rippled through space. Lisa checked her readings. "The metal is already analyzing it. 3 more hits and we'll be able to generate our own quantum fields." Old Rust led the defense, its hull constantly shifting and changing as it encountered new weapons. The ship had come so far from the derelict they'd found drifting in space. Now it moved like a living thing, anticipating attacks before they came, protecting other ships and striking back with copied alien weapons. "Multiple ships approaching from Sector 7, Mike reported. "They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers." Walker remained calm. "Activate the nanite swarms." This was their newest innovation. Clouds of free-floating living metal that could form temporary structures in space. The swarms created energy-absorbing barriers, redirecting enemy fire back at them. Some alien ships found themselves trapped in webs of living metal that infected their hulls, turning their own ships against them. "Sir," Lisa called out excitedly, "the neural network is picking up something interesting. The living metal, it's accessing memories from its original creators. I think the battle is triggering some kind of emergency protocols we didn't know about." On the main screen, they watched in amazement as Old Rust began to change shape. Its hull flowed like liquid, forming new structures and weapons they had never seen before. The original builders had left more than just an exploration vessel. They had left a blueprint for evolution itself. "The Dominion flagship is charging some kind of superweapon," Mike reported urgently. The alien vessel's front section split open, revealing a massive energy cannon. The blast that emerged was powerful enough to vaporize a small moon. But when it hit Old Rust, something remarkable happened. The living metal didn't just absorb the energy, it transformed it. The ship began to glow with power, its hull patterns spinning in complex fractal patterns. Then it released the energy back into space, not as a weapon, but as a wave of living metal that spread across the battlefield. Every ship touched by the wave was instantly covered in a layer of living metal. Enemy vessels found their weapons shutting down as their hulls transformed. Earth ships became stronger, their existing living metal enhanced by the wave's power. What are you?" The Dominion commander's voice shook with fear. Walker looked at his crew, then at the living metal rippling across his ship's walls. "We're human. We found something amazing and made it our own. That's what we do. We adapt, we improve, we evolve. And we're very, very good at it." The battle ended not with destruction, but with transformation. The alien fleets found themselves unable to fight, their ships partially converted by the living metal. But instead of destroying them, humanity offered them a choice. "You can leave," Walker broadcast to the assembled fleets, "and tell everyone what happened here. Or you can stay and learn to use this technology properly as part of Earth's alliance. We're not interested in conquest. We just want to explore and grow, which is exactly what this technology was meant for in the first place." In the days that followed, most of the alien ships chose to retreat, but some stayed, fascinated by what humans had accomplished with the ancient technology. Earth scientists began working with alien researchers, sharing their discoveries and learning from each other. Old Rust remained something special, though. The ship that had started as a piece of space junk had become a symbol of humanity's potential. Its hull still looked rusty from a distance, but now everyone knew that appearance was deceiving. "What do you think the original builders would think of what we've done with their ship?" Lisa asked one evening, as they watched Earth's first living metal shipyard take shape in orbit. Walker ran his hand along a wall. feeling the metal respond to his touch. I think they'd be proud. They left this technology, hoping someone would find it and understand it. We did more than that. We helped it grow into something new. The living metal pulsed under his hand, its patterns forming complex designs that seemed to agree with his words. Somewhere out in the galaxy, they knew other derelict ships were drifting, waiting to be found. But none of them would ever be quite like Old Rust, the ship that proved that sometimes the most powerful weapons aren't the ones you build, but the ones you discover and learn to understand. As Earth's influence grew and more species came to learn from them, the story spread across the galaxy. It became a legend, a reminder that you should never judge something or someone by their appearance. After all, sometimes the rustiest ship in space might just turn out to be the most powerful one of all.